What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some new Keyforge cards to look at. The lovely folks over at Fantasy Flight Games went and did a live stream. In the course of that live stream, they were very nice, and the new cards that they were playing with from the upcoming Age of Ascension expansion were put up on the screen so we could have a good look. So I thought, right, we should probably make some cards looking at them. We're going to start off today having a little bit of a look at the Shadows cards, and ladies and gentlemen, there is one of these cards that really jumped out to me more than the others. Yeah, we're talking about Keyforge. Now, firstly, it sounds like some kind of weird after-hours Keyforge thing, but actually, it is an action card that lets you forge an extra key. Now, we've had action cards that forge extra keys. I did a video about them. I'll pop a link in the description. And we did actually have one from Shadows back in Wave 1. Not many of the houses did, incidentally, only 3 out of 7. But Shadows had Key of Darkness. It was an action card that let you forge a key at +6 current cost. But if your opponent had 0 Ember, you forge a key at +2 current cost. And bearing in mind, Shadows love stealing Ember, so that was how you would work that. Well, this one is both better and worse depending how you look at it. When you play it, if you have not forged a key this turn, you may forge a key at +4 current cost. So generally speaking here, it's going to cost 10 Ember to forge a key. But the difference here is that if something like Lash of Broken Dreams was out, it would be 13, because Lash of Broken Dreams increases it by 3, or however much it might be depending on what else they had. The point is, this lets you forge a key mid-turn. Now, forging a key mid-turn is huge. But here's the thing. It only lets you forge a key mid-turn if you didn't forge a key to begin your turn. What's so amazing about these cards we saw in set 1, like Key of Darkness, was the whole, and to be honest, Key Charge was the better of them, because it was essentially forging a key at +1 current cost, which was dumb good. But it was forge a key at the beginning of your turn, and then play a bunch of cards, get some Ember bonuses, do some reaping, and then forge another key. That's what made it so gosh darn good. So this is a good card, but it is not as good as the ones in set 1, because you don't get that mid-turn key unless you haven't forged one. Maybe you forge, and then you get a bunch more Ember, and then you forge at the beginning of your next turn. That can happen, but I think it's less likely to happen, because you've got to not have enough, then have enough, then have enough again, rather than having enough and then just getting a bunch more. And if you do pass over after doing this with enough Ember to forge, it's going to bait your opponent into doing something like a bait and switch to stop you forging. I do love that you get an Ember bonus when you play it. And look, it's a game about forging keys. It's literally called Keyforge. Obviously, forging keys is good. I am not saying this is a bad card by any stretch of the imagination, but I am saying it is not quite as spectacular as some of the ones we saw in set 1. We're also getting Ronnie Riskclocks, a 2-power creature, and what is kind of unusual, at least judging by set 1, no elusive or skirmish. You can just take him down. It's very rare that you can just take a Shadows creature down. They're very hard to KO. Incidentally, I've made a video about that too. I'll pop a link to that one in the description. But it's crazy good. When you play it, you steal an Ember. If your opponent has 7 Ember or more, you steal 2 Ember instead. So you don't really want elusive on this. The ideal situation here is you play it, and either it gets destroyed, and then you wait for your deck to run out, shuffle it back in, and you're rolling, because when your deck runs out, your discard becomes your deck. Or you use something like Nature's Call to get it back into your hand so that you can play it down later. Yeah, I am a big fan of this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a really cool card. And Shadows love stealing Ember and all of that, and that's fine. But if your opponent's got exactly 7 Ember, you actually bring them down to 5, and then they're not forging a key. If they've got exactly 6, you bring them down to 5, and they're not forging a key. A moment ago, I reminded you that the game is called Keyforge, and I told you how important it is to forge keys. Well, that is exactly the same in terms of stopping your opponent forging keys. If you know that your opponent can forge a key and they have to check at the end of their turn, then you all of a sudden get into a mad rush to try and stop them forging a key. This is going to help. Even if you bring them down from, say, 9 ember to 7, they can still forge a key. But this is one card. You've got the rest of your turn. It doesn't have anything like elusive and it's weak, but I actually kind of like that. How about another action card? Sucker Punch. It's got an ember bonus. So when you play it, you get an ember. That is a good thing. And it's got this new keyword skill, Alpha, which means you can only play this card if it is the very first thing you do during the play, use, discard phase of your turn. As soon as you play, use, or discard a card from your hand, you can't use this anymore. And what you do is you deal 2 damage to an enemy creature, and if that creature is destroyed, from that, you archive Sucker Punch. Now, being able to archive Sucker Punch is fantastic, because you archive Sucker Punch, and then at the beginning of your turn, you can choose to pick up your entire archive, but it is all or nothing. So you just wait till your next Shadow's turn, and you pick it up, and then you play it down again and get another Ember bonus and deal another 2 damage. And this is why it's got to be an Alpha card. It is a great card, because if it wasn't an Alpha, you just use the rest of your turn. You fight some creatures to leave them close to being KO'd. Although if you do that, you will end up KOing your own, because if you're not KOing theirs, they must be KOing you. That's the nature of battling in this game. But maybe you use something like Seeker Needle to bring them down into range, and then you play this. Yeah. This could be amazing, which is why it ends up being an Alpha card. But worst case scenario, you get an Ember bonus and deal 2 damage to a creature and it doesn't destroy them. Cool. I'm okay with that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm alright with that. But if you can archive it and reuse it, oh lordy, I'm a fan of this, ladies and gentlemen. I become a fan of this. Hey, speaking about cards with the Alpha keyword skill, how about Heist Knight? Another action card with this Alpha skill. So it must be played at the beginning of your play/use/discard step. And it reads, steal 1 Ember for each friendly thief creature. Now, incidentally, we have seen 3 Shadows creatures from set 2 so far. Ronnie Riskclocks, we saw a moment ago, is a thief. Lemindra is a thief. Yancey Gang is a thief, are thieves, because they are a gang at the end of the day. Again, I covered them in a previous video, link in the description. You know the deal. I'm pretty good at giving these links. The point is, Shadows creatures tend to be thieves, and the 3 we've seen so far are thieves. And you steal an Ember for each friendly thief creature, and remember, steal is better than gain. Gain means you get an Ember, that's quite nice. Steal means you get an Ember and your opponent loses an Ember. And there's nothing to stop you having 5 or 6 thief creatures out and stealing 5 or 6 Ember here, which would be wonderful. Incidentally, again, and I'm loving the design of set 2 so far, because these Alpha cards, it's really easy to see why they're Alpha cards. This would be way too good if it wasn't, because it says friendly thief creature, not friendly ready thief creature, so you play it down and they're exhausted, but they're still friendly, so you're good, and you'd be able to play 2, 3, 4 thief creatures during your turn, then play this, and just steal a ridiculous amount of Ember, and it would be starting to feel a little bit unfair at that stage. This balances it nicely. Of course, it could read, steal 1 Ember for each friendly ready thief creature, but I prefer it this way, I think. And then finally, we are getting Life for a Life. The last Shadows card we've had revealed. It is a card that gives you an Ember bonus, which is rather lovely. And it reads, when you play it, it's an action card. Sacrifice a creature to deal 6 damage to a creature. And I really like this. Firstly, thematically, a card called Life for a Life. You're getting rid of one of yours and getting rid of one of theirs. It could not be more perfect for the name. But actually here, we see a card which is really useful. Because Shadow's creatures, not good at fighting. At least judging by set 1. Again, we've not seen very much from set 2. But judging by set 1, Shadow's creatures are not big bad creatures. I mentioned this in a previous video, but the 2 strongest creatures in the entire house in set 1 were Dodger, a 5 power, and Shadow South, which was a 9 power, but couldn't deal any damage when it fought anyway. So we had a whopping 1 5 power creature. And if you want to keep going, we only actually had 1 4 power creature, and that was Magda the Rat. It is not a big bad house in terms of attacking, ladies and gentlemen. It's really not. And that's where this comes in. Because now you can go, right, well, I want to attack a creature, but my power is too low, they'll destroy me, I'll do a bit of damage, but I won't destroy them. What you do is you play Life for a Life, and you still destroy yourself, but you also get to destroy one of your opponent's creatures if it's got 6 power or less. Now, if they've got more than 6 power, that's a little bit sad. But it's still not the end of the world. Because you're still doing 6 damage. So actually, yeah, I am totally okay with this. And let's not forget, you might even be able to use this more to your advantage. How about using something like Dust Imp? If you destroy Dust Imp using this card, you still get to gain the 2 Ember. Dust Imp says when it's destroyed you gain 2 Ember, not when it's destroyed by one of your opponent's creatures or any of that rubbish. Soon as it's destroyed, you gain 2 Ember. Tell me that would not be amazing here. And I will tell you that you are less honest than you ideally should be. Ladies and gentlemen, Shadows has proven to be the de facto best house extremely early on in Chainbound tournaments. And these new cards very much look like they're going to continue the trend. This looks like a fun house moving forward. But I would very much like to know what you think about these new cards. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games, as you might expect. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.